The unexpected encounter. The vastness of space stretched out before Captain Sarah Chen as she gazed through the reinforced viewport of the U.S. horizon. Stars twinkled like distant beacons, beckoning humanity to explore further into the unknown. Sarah ran her hand through her short, dark hair, a habit she developed during her decade of service in the Earth Space Navy. "Captain," called out Lieutenant Rodriguez from his station, "we're picking up an unusual energy signature about 500,000 kilometers off our port bow." Sarah's interest piqued. They were in an uncharted region of space, far from any known civilizations. "Can you identify the source, Lieutenant?" Rodriguez's fingers danced across his holographic interface. "It appears to be a ship, ma'am, but it's not matching any known configurations in our database." "Alien vessel," Sarah mused, her heartbeat quickening. Humanity had yet to make first contact with an advanced alien civilization. Could this be the moment? "Possibly, Captain. The energy readings are erratic. It might be damaged." Sarah nodded, her mind racing through protocols and possibilities. "Helm, bring us closer, but maintain a safe distance. Shields up, weapons on standby. Let's not take any chances." As the horizon approached the mysterious vessel, its form became clearer on the main view screen. It was unlike anything Sarah had ever seen, sleek and organic in design, as if it had been grown rather than built. Its hull shimmered with an iridescent sheen, reminiscent of abalone shells Sarah had collected as a child on Earth's beaches. "Life signs?" Sarah asked, her voice steady despite the excitement coursing through her veins. "2 faint biosignatures detected, Captain," reported Ensign Park from the science station. "They're weak, but stable." Sarah made her decision. "Prep a boarding party. I'll lead it myself. Rodriguez, you have the con." Within minutes, Sarah found herself in a boarding shuttle with a small team of security officers and medics. As they approached the alien ship, Sarah couldn't help but marvel at its beauty up close. The hull seemed to pulse with a faint, otherworldly light. They docked with surprising ease, as if the ship had recognized their intentions and accommodated them. The airlock cycled, and Sarah stepped into the alien vessel, her pulse rifle at the ready. The interior was just as breathtaking as the exterior. Corridors curved organically, lit by a soft, ambient glow that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. The air was breathable, with a hint of something floral. "Life signs are coming from what appears to be the bridge, Captain," whispered one of the security officers, gesturing down a hallway. Sarah nodded, leading the way. As they approached the bridge, the door, or what seemed to be a door, melted away, revealing the ship's control center. What Sarah saw next nearly took her breath away. 2 figures lay unconscious on the floor, their forms unmistakably alien yet hauntingly beautiful. They appeared female, with skin that shimmered like opals and hair that flowed like liquid silver. Their features were delicate, almost elfin, and they wore what looked like ornate, form-fitting suits that pulsed with the same energy as the ship. "Med team, check their vitals," Sarah ordered, her voice barely above a whisper. As the medics rushed forward, one of the aliens stirred. Her eyes fluttered open, revealing irises that swirled with galaxies. She locked gazes with Sarah, and in that moment, the human captain felt a connection that transcended species. The alien's lips parted, and to Sarah's astonishment, she spoke in perfect English. "Please, help us." Sarah knelt beside the alien, her rifle forgotten. "I'm Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth Space Navy. We're here to help. Can you tell me what happened?" The alien struggled to sit up, her movements graceful despite her weakened state. "I am Princess Lyra, and this is my sister, Princess Celeste. We are refugees. Our kingdom has fallen, and we barely escaped with our lives." Sarah's mind reeled at the implications. Princesses, kingdoms, the galaxy was far more complex than humanity had imagined. "Your Highness," Sarah said, the words feeling strange on her tongue, "we'll do everything we can to assist you. But I need to know, are we in any danger? Are you being pursued? Lyra's eyes widened with fear. Yes, the Voidborn. They destroyed our world, and they'll stop at nothing to capture us. We carry secrets. Knowledge that could shift the balance of power in the galaxy. As if on cue, alarms blared throughout the alien ship. Lyra's sister, Celeste, jolted awake, her eyes wild with panic. They found us, Celeste cried out. Sarah's training kicked in. Everyone, back to our shuttle now. We're taking these two with us. As Sarah helped Lyra to her feet, the alien princess gripped her arm. Captain, you don't understand. If you help us, you'll be dragging your entire species into an intergalactic war. Sarah met Lyra's gaze, her jaw set with determination. Princess, humanity has longed for the stars for millennia. We've prepared for this moment. If there's a war coming, we'll face it head-on. With that, Sarah swooped Lyra into her arms, barking orders to her team. As they raced back to their shuttle, the alien ship shuddered around them. Through the viewports, Sarah caught glimpses of massive dark shapes emerging from fold space. The Voidborn had arrived. The boarding party piled into the shuttle, the alien princesses secured safely inside. As they disengaged from the dying alien vessel, Sarah saw tendrils of darkness reaching out from the Voidborn ships, grasping at them. Horizon, this is the captain, Sarah called into her comm. Red alert. We have first contact and we're coming in hot. Prepare for immediate jump to hyperspace on my mark. As the shuttle raced towards the horizon, Sarah felt the weight of history on her shoulders. Humanity's first encounter with alien life, and they were already at war. But looking at the grateful faces of Lyra and Celeste, Sarah knew she had made the right choice. The future of Earth, and perhaps the entire galaxy, had just changed forever, and Captain Sarah Chen was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. A desperate plea. The U.S. horizon shuddered as it tore through hyperspace, leaving the pursuing Voidborn ships far behind. In the ship's medical bay, Captain Sarah Chen watched as her chief medical officer, Dr. Elara Voss, examined the alien princesses. Fascinating, Dr. Voss murmured, her eyes wide with wonder as she scanned Lyra's shimmering skin. Their cellular structure is unlike anything I've ever seen. It's almost as if they're composed of some sort of living crystal. Lyra sat patiently on the examination table, her otherworldly eyes taking in every detail of the human ship. Our people, the Luminari, evolved in a system bathed in radiation from binary stars, she explained. Our bodies adapted to harness that energy. Sarah leaned against the wall, her arms crossed. And that's why the Voidborn are after you. Because of your unique biology. Celeste, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. It's more than that, Captain. Our abilities go far beyond mere biological curiosity. She held out her hand, and to Sarah's astonishment, a small orb of light materialized above her palm, pulsing with energy. We can manipulate energy at its most fundamental level, Lyra continued. In the wrong hands, this power could be weaponized on a scale that would make your most destructive weapons look like children's toys. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. The implications were staggering. And the Voidborn, what exactly are they? The princesses exchanged a grim look. They are the antithesis of our people, Celeste explained. Where we harness light and energy, they consume it. They exist in the spaces between stars, in the very fabric of dark matter itself. Their goal is to extinguish all light in the universe, Lyra added, her voice trembling. They've already consumed countless worlds, including our home planet of Lumina. We are all that remains of our civilization. Sarah's mind raced with the enormity of the situation. Humanity had just stepped onto a galactic stage embroiled in an ancient conflict between light and darkness. She took a deep breath, steadying herself. All right, Your Highnesses, I need you to tell me everything. What are your plans? How can we help? Lyra stood, her regal bearing evident despite her harrowing ordeal. Captain Chen, we came to your sector of space deliberately. We've been observing your species for some time, and we believe that humanity might be the key to turning the tide against the Voidborn. Us? Sara's eyebrows shot up in surprise. But we've barely left our own solar system. How could we possibly? Your adaptability, Celeste interjected. Your ingenuity. Your sheer determination in the face of overwhelming odds. These are traits that the Voidborn cannot comprehend, and therefore cannot counter. Dr. Voss, who had been listening intently, spoke up. Captain, if I may, the princess's biology is incredible. If we could find a way to synthesize their energy manipulation abilities, combine them with human technology. Sara nodded slowly, the beginnings of a plan forming in her mind. We could create weapons capable of fighting the Voidborn on their own turf. Exactly, Lyra said, a glimmer of hope in her swirling eyes. But it's more than that. We believe that with the right training, some humans might be able to develop abilities similar to ours naturally. Before Sara could respond, the ship's intercom crackled to life. Captain to the bridge immediately. Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice was tight with urgency. Sara sprinted to the bridge, the princesses close behind. As they entered, the main view screen flickered to life, showing a massive Voidborn ship emerging from hyperspace directly in their path. How did they find us so quickly? Sara demanded, sliding into the captain's chair. Unknown, ma'am, Rodriguez replied, his fingers flying over the controls. But they're charging weapons. The horizon rocked as the first volley of dark energy torpedoes struck their shields. Sara gritted her teeth, barking orders to her crew. Evasive maneuvers, return fire. But their weapons seemed to pass harmlessly through the Voidborn ship, as if it wasn't fully present in their reality. It's no use, Celeste cried out. Your weapons can't harm them in this state. Sara turned to the princesses, desperation in her eyes. Then what can we do? Lyra and Celeste exchanged a look, then nodded in unison. We can buy you time to escape, but it will drain us considerably, Lyra said. Do it, Sara ordered without hesitation. The princesses joined hands, their bodies beginning to glow with an intense, otherworldly light. Energy crackled around them, and for a moment, Sara could have sworn she saw wings of pure light unfurling from their backs. A beam of radiant energy burst forth from the princesses, engulfing the horizon in a cocoon of light. The Voidborn ship recoiled as if burned, its dark tendrils unable to penetrate the luminous barrier. Now, Captain, Celeste gasped, the effort clearly taking its toll. Jump to hyperspace. Sara didn't need to be told twice. Helm, get us out of here. The horizon's engines rolled to life, and the ship vanished into the swirling vortex of hyperspace just as the light barrier began to fade. On the bridge, Lyra and Celeste collapsed, their skin dimmed to a pale, sickly hue. As Dr. Voss rushed to attend to the princesses, Sara stared at the streaking stars on the view screen, her mind reeling from what she had just witnessed. The fate of not just Earth, but the entire galaxy now rested on her shoulders. What's our status? She asked, her voice hoarse. Rodriguez consulted his displays. Shields at 62%, minor damage to outer hull plating. But Captain, that jump burned out our long-range communications array. We're cut off from Earth. Sara closed her eyes, taking a deep breath. When she opened them again, there was steel in her gaze. Plot a course for the nearest Earth colony. We need to warn them about what's coming. As her crew scrambled to carry out her orders, Sara knelt beside the recovering princesses. I hope you're right about humanity, she said softly, because it looks like we're all you've got now. Lyra reached out, grasping Sara's hand. Have faith, Captain Chen. The light of hope burns brightest in the darkest of times, and from what we've seen of your people, that light burns very bright indeed. Sara nodded, squeezing Lyra's hand in return. As she stood to return to her duties, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of a journey that would change the course of human history forever. The stars themselves seemed to tremble with anticipation of the battles to come. Escape and adaptation. Days stretched into weeks as the U.S. Horizon limped through space, its crew working tirelessly to repair the damage sustained in their encounter with the Voidborn. Captain Sarah Chen stood in the ship's makeshift training room, watching with a mixture of awe and trepidation as Princess Lyra demonstrated her energy manipulation abilities to a group of awestruck human volunteers. "Focus on the energy within you," Lyra instructed, her voice calm and melodious. "Imagine it as a wellspring of light, waiting to be tapped." Sarah marveled at how quickly her crew had adapted to the presence of the alien princesses. Initial fear and suspicion had given way to curiosity and, in some cases, outright admiration. It was a testament to humanity's adaptability, she thought proudly. Ensign Maya Patel, a young engineer with a penchant for theoretical physics, stood at the center of the group. Her face was scrunched in concentration as she held her hands out, mimicking Lyra's pose. Suddenly, a tiny spark of light flickered between her palms. I did it," Maya gasped, her eyes wide with disbelief. The room erupted in cheers. Lyra beamed, placing a gentle hand on Maya's shoulder. "Well done, Ensign. You have a natural affinity for the light." Sarah felt a presence beside her and turned to see Princess Celeste, who had been observing quietly from the sidelines. "Your people continue to surprise us, Captain," Celeste said softly. "We had hoped that some humans might be able to develop our abilities, but the speed at which they're learning, it's unprecedented. Humanity has always been good at adapting to new situations," Sarah replied with a hint of pride. "It's how we've survived as a species." Celeste nodded, her galaxy-like eyes distant. "It may be the key to our survival as well." Before Sarah could respond, the ship's intercom crackled to life. "Captain to the bridge," Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice called out. "We're approaching the Arcturus colony." Sarah's heart leaped. Finally, a chance to warn Earth about the impending threat. "On my way," she responded, giving Celeste a nod before hurrying out of the training room. As she entered the bridge, the swirling vortex of hyperspace on the main view screen gave way to normal space. The Arcturus colony, a massive space station orbiting a distant star, loomed before them. "Open a channel," Sarah ordered, straightening her uniform. Rodriguez frowned, tapping at his console. "No response, Captain. In fact, I'm not picking up any communications from the colony at all." A sense of dread settled in Sarah's stomach. "Life signs." "Scanning," Rodriguez replied, his voice tense. After a moment, he looked up, his face pale. "Captain, the colony is empty. No life signs detected." Sarah's blood ran cold. "That's impossible. Arcturus has a population of over 50,000. Just then, Princess Lyra and Celeste burst onto the bridge, their faces grim. "Captain," Lyra said urgently, "we sense a darkness here. The Voidborn, they've been here." As if to confirm their words, the view screen suddenly flickered, showing a massive Voidborn ship emerging from behind the colony. It was unlike the one they had encountered before. This vessel was gargantuan, easily dwarfing both the Horizon and the Arcturus colony. "Battle stations," Sarah barked, her training kicking in despite the shock. "Shields up, weapons hot." But as the crew scrambled to respond, something unexpected happened. The Voidborn ship didn't attack. Instead, a communication request pinged on Rodriguez's console. Sarah hesitated, then nodded. On screen. The view screen flickered again, and Sarah found herself face to face with a being of pure darkness. Its form was hard to discern, seeming to shift and writhe like a living shadow. When it spoke, its voice was like the void itself given sound. "Greetings, humans," the being said, its words echoing in Sarah's mind more than her ears. "I am Nyx, harbinger of the Voidborn. We have been expecting you." Sarah steeled herself, meeting the creature's gaze unflinchingly. "What have you done with the colonists?" Nyx's form rippled in what might have been amusement. "They have been repurposed." Their energy now serves a greater cause. Besides Sarah, Lyra and Celeste trembled with a mixture of fear and rage. "You monsters," Celeste hissed. "Ah, the Luminary princesses." Nyx's attention shifted. "How kind of you to deliver yourselves to us. It will save us the trouble of hunting you down." Sarah stepped forward, placing herself between the view screen and the princesses. "If you want them, you'll have to go through us first." Nyx's form expanded, filling the view screen with writhing darkness. Such bravado. Such light. It will be a pleasure to extinguish it. The being paused, its voice taking on an almost curious tone. "But first, I think a demonstration is in order. Watch closely, humans. This is the fate that awaits your entire species." The view screen shifted to show the Arcturus colony. As the horrified crew of the Horizon looked on, tendrils of darkness began to engulf the massive structure. Where they touched, metal corroded and crumbled, as if centuries of decay were happening in seconds. "Stop," Sarah cried out, but her words fell on deaf ears. Within minutes, the once proud colony was reduced to a floating field of debris. The void-born ship seemed to pulse, growing even larger. Nyx's face reappeared on the screen. "Now you understand the futility of resistance. Surrender the princesses, and perhaps we will grant your species a quick end." Sarah's mind raced. They were outgunned, outmatched, and had just witnessed the destruction of an entire colony. But as she looked around at her crew, humans and Luminary alike, she saw not defeat, but determination. "No," Sarah said, her voice steady and resolute. "We will not surrender. Humanity has faced extinction before, and we've always found a way to survive. We will find a way to stop you." Nyx's form roiled with what might have been anger. "Then you have chosen oblivion." The view screen went dark, and the massive void-born ship began to move towards them. "Your orders, Captain," Rodriguez asked, his voice tight but ready. Sarah took a deep breath, her mind already formulating a plan. "Ensign Patel," she called out, "how's your control over that new light ability of yours?" Maya looked startled but determined. "Getting better by the minute, Captain." Sarah nodded. "Good, because we're about to put it to the test." She turned to the princesses. "Your Highnesses, I hope you're ready for a crash course in human ingenuity." As the void-born ship loomed ever closer, Sarah felt a strange calm settled over her. They were outnumbered and outgunned, facing an enemy that had just obliterated an entire colony. But they had something the void-born didn't: the combined strength of human determination and luminary light. "All hands," Sarah called out, her voice ringing with authority, "prepare for battle. We're about to show these void-born why you should never underestimate humanity." The bridge erupted into a flurry of activity as the crew prepared for the fight of their lives. As Sarah took her seat in the captain's chair, she couldn't help but feel a glimmer of hope. They might be facing impossible odds, but if there was one thing humans excelled at, it was achieving the impossible. The battle for the future of humanity and the galaxy was about to begin. The hunt begins. The US Horizon hung in space, a tiny mote of light against the vast darkness of the void-born ship. Captain Sarah Chen's voice rang out clear and steady over the ship's comm system. "All hands, this is the captain. We're about to engage in a battle unlike anything humanity has ever faced. But remember this, we carry with us the hopes of not just Earth, but of the Luminary and countless other species who have fallen to the Voidborn. We will not go quietly into the night. We will rage against the dying of the light. Horizon out." Sarah turned to Princess Lyra and Celeste. "Are you ready?" The princesses nodded, their forms already beginning to glow with inner light. "We are with you, Captain," Lyra said solemnly. "Ensign Patel," Sarah called out, "you're up." Maya stepped forward, her hands trembling slightly but her eyes filled with determination. "Ready, Captain." Sarah nodded. "Execute plan firefully." At her command, the Horizon's lights dimmed, plunging the ship into near darkness. For a moment, They hung there, seemingly defenseless before the massive void-born vessel. Then, all at once, pinpricks of light began to appear all over the Horizon's hull. Each point of light was a crew member, channeling the energy manipulation techniques they had learned from the luminary princesses. The void-born ship paused in its approach, as if confused by this unexpected display. "Now," Sarah shouted. Maya closed her eyes, concentrating with all her might. Suddenly, a massive pulse of energy erupted from the horizon, magnified and focused by the combined efforts of the crew. The wave of light slammed into the void-born ship, causing it to recoil as if struck. "Direct hit," Rodriguez called out triumphantly. But their victory was short-lived. The void-born ship quickly recovered, launching a barrage of dark energy torpedoes towards the horizon. "Evasive maneuvers," Sarah ordered, gripping her chair as the ship lurched to avoid the incoming fire. Despite their best efforts, several torpedoes found their mark. The horizon shuddered under the impact, alarms blaring throughout the ship. "Shields at 30%, Rodriguez reported grimly. "We can't take much more of this, Captain." Sarah's mind raced. They had hurt the void-born ship, but not enough. They needed something more, something unexpected. Suddenly, an idea struck her. "Lyra Celeste," she called out, "can you create a light construct? Something big enough to distract that ship?" The princesses exchanged a glance, then nodded. "We can try," Celeste said, "but it will take all of our energy. We won't be able to maintain it for long." "Do it," Sarah ordered. The princesses joined hands, their bodies glowing brighter and brighter until they were almost painful to look at. Then, with a flash of blinding light, a massive construct appeared in space between the horizon and the void-born ship. It was a perfect replica of the horizon, glowing with luminary energy. The void-born ship immediately turned its attention to this new threat, launching a volley of torpedoes at the light construct. "Now's our chance," Sarah said. "Helm, take us in close. Weapons, target their propulsion systems with everything we've got." The real horizon swooped in, unleashing a barrage of photon torpedoes and phaser fire at the void-born ship's engines. The dark vessel, caught off guard by the deception, took the full brunt of the attack. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, with a silent explosion that seemed to ripple through the very fabric of space, the void-born ship's engines detonated. The massive vessel began to list, dark energy leaking from its wounded hull like blood in water. A cheer went up from the Horizon's crew, but Sarah knew they weren't out of danger yet. "Get us out of here, maximum warp." As the Horizon streaked away into hyperspace, Sarah allowed herself a small smile. They had won this battle, but the war was far from over. Hours later, with the immediate danger past, Sarah called a meeting of her senior staff and the luminary princesses in the ship's conference room. "First of all, I want to commend everyone on their performance," Sarah began. "What you all accomplished today was nothing short of miraculous. But," she continued, her expression growing serious, "we can't afford to rest on our laurels. The Voidborn now know that we're a threat. They'll be coming for us with everything they've got." "What's our next move, Captain?" Rodriguez asked. Sarah took a deep breath. "We need allies. The Luminari can't be the only species out there fighting against the Voidborn. We need to find others, form a coalition." "There are rumors," Lyra spoke up, "of a resistance movement operating in the shadows, species from across the galaxy banding together to fight the Voidborn. We never managed to make contact with them, but perhaps." "That's our mission then," Sarah said firmly. "We find this resistance, we join forces, and we take the fight to the Voidborn." "But Captain," Maya interjected, "what about Earth? Shouldn't we be warning them?" Sarah's face darkened. "Earth is millions of light years away, and our long-range communications are still down. For now, we're on our own. The best way to protect Earth is to stop the Voidborn here and now, before they can spread any further." The room fell silent as the weight of their situation sank in. They were a single ship, lost in a vast and hostile galaxy, carrying the hopes of not just humanity, but countless other species. "I know it seems impossible," Sarah said softly, looking each of them in the eye. "But remember what we accomplished today. Remember the light we carry within us. As long as that light burns, there's hope." As the meeting adjourned and her crew filed out, Sarah remained behind, staring out at the stars streaking by. The hunt for allies had begun, but so too had the Voidborn's hunt for them. It was a race against time, with the fate of the galaxy hanging in the balance. But as she watched her human crew working seamlessly alongside the Luminary princesses, Sarah felt a surge of pride and determination. They might be outnumbered and outgunned, but they had something the Voidborn could never understand: the indomitable spirit of humanity, burning bright against the encroaching darkness. The hunt was on, and Captain Sarah Chen intended to win. Turning the tables, the U.S. Horizon drifted silently through the Nix Nebula, its hull modified to absorb light rather than reflect it. For weeks, they had been following whispers and rumors, chasing the faintest traces of the resistance movement. Now, deep in this cosmic cloud of dust and ionized gases, they hoped to finally make contact. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the swirling colors outside the viewscreen. The nebula was beautiful, but treacherous. Sensor readings were unreliable at best, and navigation was a constant challenge. "Any sign of them?" Sarah asked, trying to keep the impatience out of her voice. Lieutenant Rodriguez shook his head. "Nothing yet, Captain, but there's so much interference, they could be right on top of us and we might not know it." As if on cue, alarms blared across the bridge. Multiple ships decloaking. Rodriguez shouted, "They've got us surrounded." Sarah's hand instinctively went to her phaser, but she forced herself to remain calm. "Hold your fire," she ordered. "This could be who we're looking for." The viewscreen flickered to life, revealing a motley assortment of alien vessels. At their center was a ship that seemed to be constructed entirely of crystalline structures, glowing with an inner light that reminded Sarah of the Luminary princesses. A face appeared on the screen, humanoid, but with skin that shimmered like opal and eyes that burned with an inner fire. Unidentified vessel, the alien spoke, its voice resonating with harmonic overtones. "You have entered restricted space. Identify yourselves or be destroyed." Sarah stepped forward. "I am Captain Sarah Chen of the U.S. Horizon. We come seeking the resistance against the Voidborn. We bring with us the last survivors of the Luminary people." The alien's eyes widened almost imperceptibly. "Luminary? Impossible. They were wiped out cycles ago." "Not all of us," Princess Lyra said, stepping into view. She and Celeste had insisted on being on the bridge for this moment. "We are the last, and we have found allies in humanity." The alien studied them for a long moment, its fiery eyes seeming to pierce right through them. Finally, it nodded. "I am Commander Zarak of the Crystalline Collective. Follow us closely. Any deviation will be seen as an act of hostility." The viewscreen went dark, and the alien ships began to move deeper into the nebula. Sarah nodded to her helmsman. "You heard the commander. Stay on their tail." As they traversed the nebula, the gases around them began to thin, revealing a sight that took Sarah's breath away. Hidden within the heart of the cosmic cloud was a massive space station, its design an organic blend of technology from a dozen different species. "My God," Sarah whispered, "it's beautiful." The Horizon docked alongside the other ships, and Sarah led a small away team, including the Luminary princesses, to meet with the Resistance leadership. As they stepped off the shuttle, they were greeted by a diverse group of aliens, each more extraordinary than the last. Commander Zarak stood at their head, its crystalline body refracting the light around it. "Welcome to Haven," it said, gesturing to the bustling station around them, the last bastion of hope against the darkness. Over the next few hours, Sarah and her team were given a whirlwind tour of Haven. They saw laboratories where scientists from 100 worlds worked to develop weapons against the Voidborn, training facilities where warriors honed their light-based abilities, and command centers where strategists plotted the Resistance's next moves. Finally, they were led to a large conference room where the leaders of the Resistance had gathered. Sarah felt a weight settle on her shoulders as she realized that the fate of not just humanity, but the entire galaxy might hinge on this meeting. As discussions began, it quickly became clear that while the Resistance was formidable, they were also desperate. The Voidborn had been pushing them back on all fronts, consuming world after world. "The Luminari were our greatest allies," a serpentine alien hissed. "With their fall, we lost hope of ever truly defeating the Voidborn. But now we have returned," Celeste said, her voice ringing with determination. "And we bring with us a new ally, humanity." The room erupted in murmurs and whispers. Many of the aliens had never heard of humans before, and those who had seemed skeptical of their worth. Sarah stood, her voice cutting through the chatter. "I know we're new to this fight," she said. "I know many of you doubt us. But let me tell you what humanity brings to this war." She went on to describe how her crew had adapted the Luminari's light manipulation techniques, how they had held their own against a Voidborn dreadnought. She spoke of Earth's history, of humanity's unbreakable spirit in the face of overwhelming odds. "We may be young," Sarah concluded, "but we are fierce. We are adaptable, and we will never ever give up. The Voidborn think they can extinguish our light? Let them try. We'll burn all the brighter for it." A hush fell over the room as Sarah's words sank in. Then, slowly, Commander Zarak began to glow, its light growing brighter and brighter until it was almost blinding. "Perhaps," it said, its voice thrumming with energy, "there is hope after all." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the station. A holographic display sprang to life in the center of the room, showing a massive Voidborn fleet emerging from Fold space. "They found us," one of the alien leaders gasped. "But how?" Sarah's blood ran cold as realization dawned. "They followed us," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "We led them right to you." For a moment, panic threatened to overtake the room, but then Sarah saw something change in the eyes of the Resistance leaders. The fear was still there, yes, but there was something else too. Determination, resolve, the very things she had spoken of moments ago. Commander Zarek's voice cut through the chaos. "We have no choice. We fight. Here. Now. For everything we've lost, for everything we still have left to lose." Sarah nodded, feeling a surge of pride for these beings she had only just met. "The horizon stands with you," she said. "Let's show these Voidborn what happens when you corner the light." As the Resistance mobilized for battle, Sarah couldn't help but feel a glimmer of hope. They were outnumbered, yes. The odds were stacked against them, certainly. But looking around at this coalition of species, united in their determination to push back the darkness, she knew one thing for certain. The Voidborn had no idea what they were in for. The battle for Haven, and for the future of the galaxy, was about to begin, and Captain Sarah Chen intended to make it a fight the Voidborn would never forget. A new alliance. The space around Haven erupted into chaos as the combined fleet of the Resistance engaged the Voidborn armada. Ships of all sizes and designs, each representing a different species or alliance, moved in coordinated patterns that spoke of long practice and desperate necessity. Aboard the U.S. Horizon, Captain Sarah Chen barked orders as her crew worked in perfect sync with their new allies. "Concentrate fire on their lead ship," she commanded. "Maya, channel our light energy into the weapons systems." Ensign Maya Patel, her face etched with concentration, placed her hands on a specially designed console. Light pulsed through the ship's systems, amplifying their weapons' power. The Horizon's phasers lanced out, burning through the void and striking the massive Voidborn vessel. For a moment, it seemed as though their attack had no effect. Then, slowly, cracks of light began to spread across the dark hull of the enemy's ship. "It's working." Rodriguez shouted from his station. "Their shields are failing." A cheer went up across the bridge, but Sarah knew better than to celebrate too soon. The battle was far from over. On the main view screen, Sarah watched as Commander Zarek's crystalline ship danced through the enemy formation, its light-based weapons carving swaths of destruction. The Luminary princesses, Lyra and Celeste, had joined the Crystalline Collective's forces, their combined powers creating dazzling displays of destructive light that the Voidborn seemed unable to counter. But for every Voidborn ship they destroyed, two more seemed to take its place. The darkness pressed in, threatening to overwhelm them. "Captain," Rodriguez called out, his voice tight with tension. "I'm detecting a massive energy build-up in the Voidborn flagship. It's like nothing we've ever seen before." Sarah's mind raced. They needed a game-changer, something the Voidborn wouldn't expect. Her eyes fell on the schematics of Haven, and suddenly, an idea struck her. "Haven Control," she called out over the comm. "This is Captain Chen. I need you to overload your central power core." There was a moment of stunned silence before Commander Zarek's voice came through. "Captain, that would destroy the station. Everything we've built." "I know," Sarah said, her voice filled with determination. "But if we can channel that energy, use it to amplify our light-based weapons." She didn't need to finish. Zarek understood. It could be enough to turn the tide. The commander finished. "But the risk." "The risk is worth it," Sarah insisted. "We won't get another chance like this." There was a pause, and Sarah could almost feel the weight of the decision pressing down on Zarek. Finally, the commander spoke. "Very well, Captain. We'll begin the overload sequence. May the light guide us all." Sarah turned to her crew, her eyes blazing with intensity. "All right, people, this is it. Everything we've got, channel it into our weapons. Maya, I need you to act as a conduit. When Haven releases its energy, you need to capture it, amplify it, and redirect it through our systems." Maya nodded, her face pale but determined. "I'll do my best, Captain." The next few minutes were a blur of activity. Ships maneuvered into position, forming a protective ring around Haven. The Voidborn, sensing something was amiss, pressed their attack with renewed vigor. "Haven's core is reaching critical levels," Rodriguez reported. "Energy spike in 3, 2, 1. A blinding flash erupted from the heart of Haven, so bright that even the view screen's filters couldn't fully compensate. Maya cried out, her body glowing as she struggled to channel the immense energy. "Now," Sarah shouted, "fire everything." The Horizon's weapons erupted with power beyond anything they had ever produced. Around them, the Allies did the same, each ship becoming a beacon of searing light. The Voidborn flagship, caught in the center of this onslaught, seemed to waver for a moment. Then, with a silent explosion that rippled through subspace itself, it began to disintegrate. As their flagship fell, confusion spread through the Voidborn fleet. For the first time, Sarah saw them retreating, their dark ships fleeing back into the void from which they came. The bridge of the Horizon erupted in cheers, but Sarah's eyes were fixed on the smoldering remains of Haven. The victory had come at a terrible cost. In the days that followed, as the Allied fleet regrouped and tended to their wounded, Sarah found herself in countless meetings with the surviving resistance leaders. The destruction of Haven had been a heavy blow, but it had also cemented the alliance between humanity and the other species. "We've struck a significant blow against the Voidborn," Commander Zarek said during one such meeting. "But this war is far from over." Sarah nodded, her face etched with the wariness of battle and the weight of command. "No, it's not. But for the first time, we have hope. Real hope." She looked around the table at the assembled leaders, beings from across the galaxy, each unique, each vital. "We've proven that together, we can stand against the darkness. Now, we take the fight to them." As the meeting adjourned, Sarah found herself standing with Lyra and Celeste, gazing out at the stars. "What now?" Lyra asked softly. Sarah's lips curved into a small smile. Now we rebuild. We gather our strength, And then we show the Voidborn that the light of 1,000 worlds burns too bright to ever be extinguished. As if in response to her words, the stars seem to shine a little brighter. The battle for Haven might be over, but the war for the galaxy had only just begun, and with the combined strength of humanity and their new allies, Captain Sarah Chen knew that they stood a fighting chance. The darkness had ruled for too long. It was time for the light to have its day. As the Ally fleet prepared to depart, setting course for new horizons and new battles, Sarah couldn't help but feel a sense of pride and purpose. They had started this journey as strangers, humans, Luminari, and a host of other species. Now, forged in the crucible of battle, they were something more. They were a family, united in their determination to push back the night. The US horizon led the way, its hull still bearing the scars of battle, but its spirit unbroken. As they jumped to hyperspace, Sarah whispered a promise to the universe at large. "We're coming, Voidborn, and we're bringing the dawn with us." The stars streaked by, carrying with them the hopes and dreams of a galaxy. The war was far from over, but for the first time in eons, the balance had shifted. The light was fighting back, and it burned brighter than ever before. And at the helm of this cosmic revolution stood humanity, proving once and for all that even in the darkest of times, hope could be found in the most unexpected places. The galaxy would never be the same again, and Captain Sarah Chen wouldn't have it any other way. The adventure was just beginning.